Dwija. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if I landed here for the very first time. Alright, so today we'll be reacting to 1956 high school exchange students in USA debate on prejudice. Philippines, Japan, UK, Indonesia. I don't know. I was sent this in a DM with absolutely no comment right next to it, so I was like, okay, let's just try it, give it a try, why not? So we're gonna do that. But before that, I hope you have subscribed to my channel and click the notification bell which is right next to it so don't miss out any further updates. You can also follow me on my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All the links will be in the description box. Okay, let's get it started. High school exchange students in a USA debate on prejudice, and they include Philippines, Japan, UK, Indonesia. Okay, let's get it. Whenever I wear this top, I just don't like the fact that I look fat. Like, I look huge from this portion. I do feel like I've lost a little bit, not myself because of staying in the house and eating whatever is in the house, but it's just me maybe. I haven't lost anything, I guess now. Whatever. Once I test negative, and after some time, because I feel a lot of weakness right now, a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of, I guess. I'm gonna start working out again. Yeah, hopefully we can. Anyway, let's go for this one. Sorry for the lighting. You know that I can't close my doors, and since the light is like coming from the back, this may happen, but I'm gonna be back, don't worry. Play.
Welcome to our forum discussion on the roots of prejudice.
Yeah, okay.
We'll be talking about what our prejudices are, where they came from, how they're nourished, and perhaps even how to get rid of them.
Ooh.
Let me introduce you to the 4 student participants in today's discussion.
Indonesia.
Ratnati, Iskandar, Dinata, high school student, 17 years old, and also a talented dancer from Indonesia.
Ooh.
From Japan, Yoriko Konishi, whose lovely voice you've just heard. From time to time, we like you to get a sense of what we do in all those times when we aren't having serious discussions. We very often get Yoriko to dance or sing for us. She does both.
Oh, wow.
From the United Kingdom, 18-year-old Judith Reader. Judith's got a bit of a cold today. It did not come from swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, although she assures us that when she's in England, she does swim in the ocean during the winter.
Okay.
From the Philippines, Raul Contreras.
Hey.
Raul will be 16 years old, patriotically enough, on the 4th of July. He may admit some prejudices, but one he obviously doesn't have is a prejudice against women, or he wouldn't have been willing to appear tonight with 3 women being the only male on the program.
So what?
Now, on this question of prejudice, perhaps we ought to start out by trying to define what you think prejudices are. What do you think prejudice is, Ratnati?
Let's go.
I think prejudice is a feeling of hate of people as a group or individual
towards other people.
You say a feeling of hate. Do you think prejudice is as strong as hate?
Yes. Oh, when there's somebody he has a prejudice, then the answer will be, I hate such and such.
Well, I suppose that is true. What do you think prejudice is, Yoriko?
Well, I found that if somebody distinguishes between 2 white men, it is not prejudice. But if somebody distinguishes between a white man and a colored man, it is prejudice.
I would define prejudice as a rigid opinion formed about a certain thing before there has been a just examination of the facts.
When a person loses track of the dignity of the human soul and
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna pause it because I wasn't expecting this voice to come out of this little guy there. I'm sorry, isn't this like you're listening to the news? His voice is perfect for that. Not news, I'm sorry, but like I can't get the right word in my mind right now, but his voice resembles something we have heard so much now. I don't know what that is. I don't know, but something similar to that. I wasn't expecting this voice to come out of it. But till now, I think I agree with the UK student of what prejudice is. This is interesting. I like it. Play.
to judge others not on the basis of their being persons, but on the basis of race, creed, economic status, That is prejudice.
His voice.
So is it fair to ask you whether you have any prejudices?
Well, I guess so, Mrs. Waller. And being brutally frank, I'm prejudiced against Japanese. Well, not to the extent that, I hate them. No, not that way. But I got this as a result of World War II. Because, well, I guess I was yet too young to understand what happened during those times. But I think that what my relatives and friends and the people who were witness to that unfaithful occasion, well, they just more than justify the fact. And I think it's justified for me to feel the same way because well, I know that my people suffered very much under that rule.
You still as prejudiced against the Japanese as you were?
True.
Well, 5 years ago, that prejudice of mine was, well, slightly fading away. But when Japan stubbornly refused to pay reparations to us, well,
Japan is right next to
again. But now I found out from close contact with Yoriko and other Japanese that Japan isn't ready to pay reparations yet, because as Yoriko said, some of them, and most of them, even have to suffer the cold in the classrooms because
they can't afford
to heat the schools.
Yoriko, you've got any prejudices?
Well, I don't have any prejudice for Philippines, but many Japanese people hate Korea because the president of Korea made
I know about Korea and
Japan
on
the public sea between Korea and Japan. And if the Japanese fishermen go over the line, they are
caught by
Korean people, and they can't go
I'm
home
reading the subtitles, by the way. That's why I'm reading ahead.
We're trying to be friend for Korea.
Now that we've started, we better go on around the circle.
Okay.
Judith, you got any prejudices that you admit?
Yes, I suppose I'd better admit them, although I'm English. I have some very foolish prejudices. You'll probably laugh. For instance, as soon as I meet a person with red hair, I always put myself on my guard because I have a silly prejudice that all red-headed people have terrible tempers, you know, that they're as passionate
I have a prejudice against Leos.
Oh, and then I have another silly prejudice.
I think I'd say fire signs,
for example, when I first met the Australian
I put my guard up when there's a fire sign because they always disappoint me for some reason.
I was shocked by her accent because to me it sounds just like a Cockney accent would in England. And I hope I'm not conceited or anything, but a Cockney accent in England, you know, most English people would shudder a little bit when they hear it. But she very frankly told me that she shuddered when she heard my accent. So I got paid back for that too.
Why did she say she did?
Oh, I think she imagined that, she said she really had to forget my accent in order to like me, because it was too formal. I gather most Americans think about that about the English
Really?
as well.
I think I love to hear the accent, English accent.
Sometimes I find prejudice against the Dutch people.
It's always like that, right?
When I learn the history,
like English people invaded us, so for us, we need to have a prejudice against them.
Of my own.
Not that, but sorry, I'm gonna pause. But I want to say this thing, like we have learned it in history, and that's the whole reason I have this in my mind. Whenever I go to England and whenever I go to Buckingham Palace, I just want to go and say, "Oh, this is all the gold. Yeah, you stole it from us." Well, they did. If you have studied our history, that's what happened. Our land used to be known as Sone ki Chidiya, the golden bird. That's the amount of jewels we had before they took it away, right? So I don't hate them or anything, but there's this one thing I want to do whenever I go to Buckingham Palace. Is say, oh, nice gold and nice this and that. Yeah, you took it away from us. So I want. It's all about the history, you know. That's what it is. We have learned, and like India's relation with certain countries is not good enough, and that's what we hear, and that's what the kids hear. I have a neighbor who's really, really young, and he has a great sense of hate and prejudice against some countries because, you know, our relations are not good, and the things that he has heard on the news and stuff like that. So I think that's the whole thing they're projecting right now, and it's very obvious, and it's just something very common, I guess, that happens. We grow up with that. It's not that, and then maybe then if you come in contact with certain people of those certain race, country, or whatever that is, we slightly change, or maybe completely change our opinions on that, or maybe our opinions get stronger. We never know. But if we are getting older with that thing surrounding us, it's quite obvious that we will think like that. So I don't blame them. I can understand them very clearly at this point. Yeah, but I didn't want to do that.
I hate people who are proud and who feel that he is the master of the other people, and who thinks that he knows everything than anybody else.
Let's come back to you a minute, Raul. Are there any prejudices in the Philippines between groups of people?
Yes, there are existing
His voice is
prejudices
amazing. I'm sorry.
between groups of people.
It just
As a matter of fact,
garners
most
attention
of
for
us
some reason. Like, okay,
feel,
I'm gonna look
are
at
prejudiced
that.
against a group of hybrids, those who have more Spanish blood than Filipino blood in them, and we term them as mestizos. Well, these incidents usually occur in the schools. As you know, I'm in a school run by Spanish monks, and we have a lot of those, of that group studying in our school, and usually they are favored. But we think, and we think that we are right in saying that they are sort of aristocratic, conceited, and high-headed, and sore-headed, and all sorts of adjectives. And
foolish
they have the foolish idea that they have the royal blood or royalty in them.
Well, how do you get along with these boys in school, Raul? Are there any problems?
Well, frankly speaking, I don't get along with them pretty well. As a matter of fact, we usually fight with one another.
Is there any problem? Yes, Yoriko.
Yes, Japan have had many American or European soldiers after the war, and most of them married with Japanese girls, not only formal wedding, and they made children who called hybrid. And I think the hybrids have nothing to be punished, but some grown-ups didn't treat
because that
didn't
like
used
it's
to
not fully
treat,
Japanese.
As
Asian cultures have
Japanese
this a lot.
children. And grown-ups also used to treat the mothers of children. Japanese people thought that the mothers of hybrids are not good.
They are horrible to think like that.
Because they married with foreign people, foreign boys, and many Japanese people don't
It's
like
an Asian thing,
to marry with
I'm pausing because I want to say this. I feel it's an Asian thing to force people to be in a box, and blend in, and not to like get out and do whatever you want or be whoever you want. I'm not like generalizing, but I've seen this a lot. So that's why I'm saying it's my opinion, and it's what I have seen. That people around me, I have always been like that too. Like, if you're gonna try to do something different, oh no, what will people think? What will the society think? Society. You do whatever you want. Times are changing, but this thing persists in some of the places much more than it persists in other places. That you have to blend in, not be different. If you are different, you will be either bullied or you will be looked down upon and stuff like that, While in some places, if you are different, if you're out of the box, you are like unique, you're appreciated, and you should be. Everyone is different, everyone is unique, everyone should be appreciated for who they are, and not everyone has to be who everyone else is, Just because this person's son or daughter did this doesn't mean you have to do it, or doesn't mean you are anything less than that. But it's hard for grown-ups in our certain countries to think like that, and it's really disgusting to me. Also crazy. I don't believe in it, and I'm not a type of person to blend in or fit in. So I have faced that, and I think a lot of people face that around me too. So I think that I'm not generalizing, but I've seen this more in Asian countries. That's why.
Because they have they live in different customs, and they consider with different way.
You still have a strong, may I say, prejudice in Japan against marrying people from other countries,
We
don't
have.
you?
I don't know about Japan.
Yes.
Not about countries, just different
Yoriko,
everything.
Could you tell us something about the status of women in Japan? We hear the strangest things, and you've been telling me the strangest things. Could you tell us more about it?
She turned the host.
Yes, and now.
Well, up to about 60 years ago, Japanese people thought that the white people are horrible because they are almost red hairs and everything is so big and about the bodies. And quite a few people still think so.
Okay.
And in Japan, we think that something to be beautiful
small and delicate. Again,
must
nation
be
thing.
small and delicate.
You could hardly apply the word delicate to some of the big soldiers we sent to Japan, could you? But I never knew that you looked down on us because we were big. That's very interesting.
We're always proud of if the Western men are tall and handsome, we consider
that.
Yes.
We're proud to be small.
Yeah,
and
it's
delicate.
different cultures.
What you said about skin color, Yoriko, I've heard that the Chinese speak about us as pink people instead of white people. It's so much more difficult to be proud of being a pink person, isn't it?
Oh, yes, you're a pink person.
Might as well face it, Judith. Here we are.
I feel scarlet.
Scarlet.
Ratnati,
I love the English vocabulary.
Judith, since Philippines has so many colonies and nearly all in all over the world, how do you feel towards the people in the colonies? Do you have some prejudice?
No, I personally don't have any prejudice. At least I hope I don't. But I know that a lot of Europeans think of the Asians, for example, as rather lazy. I don't mean to be rude, but that used to be the impression we had. You know, when we started our colonization, we thought we were doing good to you. I know that you disliked, for example, in Indonesia, you disliked the Dutch there. But they probably thought they were helping you.
They were not helping
Exactly, they were not helping us.
You mentioned that we're lazy.
It's gonna be a fight, oh my god.
We're lazy, but they didn't give us
Chance, you
chance.
see.
And we didn't get experiments to build our country.
Well, Judy, I don't think all Asians are lazy.
True.
No, please, you're misunderstanding me. I said that was a general opinion.
Right.
Maybe not now, I hope certainly not.
General opinion, but, well, when it's not, it's, well, sort of wrong to say
There
that
are 3 Asians
they're
there,
lazy.
so...
Let's just say that they've got the very flat feet that they can't lift them up.
I love this guy
You've got
so
to consider,
much.
for example, the climate in most of the regions in Asia. Well, it's just but natural. You can't.
True,
you can't
it's
just
really warm.
work with
It's
all
hot,
the hot,
not warm.
the warm climate around you. Of course, you'd always feel like fanning yourself, or going to an air-conditioned
This
theater or
man.
something else that where it's
I
cold.
like his brain.
Is there not only this difference of climate that explains a difference in tempo, but is there a difference in philosophy, too, that perhaps we in the West haven't appreciated, I wonder?
Well, as far as I know it, and, well, I think you've mentioned it in this program, that Indians think that they should never soil their hands. And in the Philippines, I must admit that, well, we're sort of inclined to get white-collar jobs and swivel chairs. Most of us do, especially the new college graduates. We don't want to work with our hands. We want to have, well, big bosses and with pretty secretaries around us. That's the common tendency.
Could you give a proof that we are lazy?
She's still stuck on
You
that.
put me in a corner. I was trying to give you an example. You criticize the countries which do, you criticize the Dutch, for example, but I know the British, when they started doing their colonization, they tried to help the countries.
Yeah, by forcing things onto people.
You think that we were butting in
they were
and taking
helping
away their
us.
opportunities?
Stealing, yes.
Yes, I think so. I'll give an example about the Dutch that we didn't get a chance to be educated, for example.
That was when the Dutch were there.
Yeah. And do you think if the people in the colony get a chance to get free, you will get them? Do you think?
Oh, now we're going right off the subject.
See, my friend from Malaya is very glad that Malaya will
Independence
get the
next year.
independence next year.
We all were glad that
She's
we were
very proud
independent.
and she tells everybody that
because the things that we have learned that they did to us was
next year.
not helping.
You think that if you do that to the other places,
maybe they thought it, but we were wrong. Maybe
yes,
we will make them satisfied.
Well, we hope it will make them satisfied. Every country wants to be independent. That's only natural. But there comes a point somebody to decide whether they're ready to receive their independence. But I know we could go off on another long argument about that.
Maybe we can have what? I'm sorry, Ralph.
I was about to ask them, what do they think are the most common or basic causes of our prejudices? Is it mainly skin color?
Maybe.
Do you mean do you mean, for example, taking the American trouble in the South?
I guess taking the American side of it, it's just that the white people don't want to mix themselves up with the colored ones.
But what about the colored people? Perhaps they don't want to mix with the white people either.
Well, what about, since you brought up the American race problem?
It's on the both
I'd
sides,
like to ask
actually.
You, is it as bad as you thought it was going to be before you came, or is it better or worse?
Well, I think it's what I've seen here and what I've heard while I am here and what I have read in the newspapers, it's just worse than I expected.
Don't you agree, Judith?
No, I don't agree. In England, we don't hear too much about the American problem, except, of course, when a certain case came up and the Supreme Court decision, we heard a lot about it then, but not too much. And when I came here, I had imagined from that Tiller case that things would be really terrible in the South. And I found that there's a real feeling of optimism here. I stayed in a Negro family, and I was able to see the position that the Negroes themselves were not happy about the situation, but were pleased. They were grateful for what progress had been made, and they were sure that the situation would continue to improve.
They said the 2 weeks you were in New Jersey that you stayed in a Negro family?
When I was in a Negro family. I know that was in the northern part, and conditions are better there. And I was very impressed with that. They said it would be a slow process, but things were gradually improving.
It's everyone's point of view, everyone's side of the view.
I was very happy to find that.
I'd like to know some of your other experiences with, yes, Yoriko.
I've never seen any evidences.
Yeah, it's
evidences of
radical
racial prejudice in the United States. But I found out that most Negroes are laborers, and they don't have a high position in
that's why you call it they're ruling
I was very glad
they're not
when
helping us that way.
I saw the Negro girl in South Orange, in Columbia High School, who was vice president of the student council.
I'm glad you did too. Yes, Ratnati.
Here in New York and New Jersey, I don't see any.
They don't see
segregation or something
racial.
Like that. But when we stopped in Williamsburg and we stopped in Negro school, I saw it's very strictly. I mean, the Negro school go to the special Negro, and I was talking to some of the girls in the school, and I asked them how they feel about being segregated. But they said that they don't mind about that, and what they want is equal rights. And there are some places that they can go, such as restaurant or some clubs. And I think that since all Americans claim and emphasize that America is the most democratic country in the world, and as long as segregation exists, I don't think it's a democratic.
I agree.
Pure democratic.
Well, adding something to that, isn't it that, in the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag, you mentioned something about, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation indivisible under God,
liberty and justice for all.
Well, the last phrase just doesn't suit everything. I mean, with this segregation problem here and the discrimination against colored people, how in the world could you have liberty and justice for all?
I love his brain, okay?
In one of my hospitality periods, I didn't expect that even the kids could carry it that far. I had the, privilege, I should say, of attending one of the dances sponsored by
Wow, we're talking about 1956 right now.
And I just noticed that, it was a big dance floor.
I would love to see this
all
now.
The white kids were assembled on the left side, and the most, shall we say, not strategic part of the ballroom, but all the colored boys and girls were in there. and I never saw a white boy asking a colored girl for a dance, nor did I see a colored boy asking a white girl for a dance.
I had a nasty experience too. When I first arrived here and I happened to mention to a group of young people that I was going to stay with a Negro family, one of the boys got up and walked out of the room. And I felt awful. I thought, well, we're in the north now, not in the south. And then when we did go into the south, I really came against it pretty hard. We went into this big store, and I was in the ladies' cloakroom, and I was washing my hands, and I was with a group of the Eastern delegates, the rather darker-skinned ones like Ratnati. And I was standing a little apart from them, and this lady came up to me, and she pulled me to one side, obviously assuming that I was American, and she said, what are these Negroes doing in here? And I was so cross, and I told her as calmly as I could that I was with them and who we were. And of course her attitude immediately changed. But it gives you such a nasty shock when you come up against it face to face. You read about it in the newspapers, you hear about it, but you don't really realize the significance of it until it hits you in the face.
That's true,
yourself.
exactly.
I think the major cause of the prejudice is skin color. And I think I don't know why, but I think
I've heard of it too.
I think that color people have
dirty skin,
and they don't have progressive culture.
I would say, but I don't think we have progressive
the white
culture.
people.
We had maybe in 1956.
Great and wonderful person in the world.
On this matter of skin color, if you were here in the summer, you'd see lots of Americans on all the beaches.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying
to get themselves like the tan.
I wonder what that really means.
I think we white women have an inferiority complex. The Eastern women and the Negro women have a sort of reputation for being so beautiful. We're a little jealous of them.
I guess you just envy us colored people.
I think so.
Was there anything corresponding to that?
Well, I think so, Mrs. Waller, because in the Philippines, it's just funny. There's a common tendency among women.
Okay.
Well, those who have a dark complexion, I should say, or just a tanned one, or just a brown complexion. Well, especially these high society matrons. Well, even if they've got already wrinkles on their face, they still want to bleach. I'm
gonna pause here because I think it's very much similar to all Asian cultures. They all want to be fair. You know, I've been seeing K-pop since like 10 years, and I know there's this obsession of fair skin there, white pale skin. And I think I know in India it's like that too. It's all about, you know, how fair you are. It doesn't matter what kind of features you have. You have no features, you look plain AF, but you need to be fair. You know, that's how you look pretty or handsome. There's this really funny story because I've always appreciated old skin color. Of course, why not? And I personally find men who have a little bit of a bronze skin tone as sexy. It's my preference. I have never said anything bad about either of them, but why will I? But I'm just saying it's my preference. If a man has a little bit of bronze skin tone, I just find it very attractive, and that's what I've been saying on my Instagram. And there was this guy who just came up to me and said, "You're a hypocrite because I am fair, and I am saying that it's beautiful to have a bronze skin, and I appreciate it. I am a hypocrite for that." Yeah, I mean, it didn't make sense at all. But I know I've got this a lot, and I even get this, like, why do I put makeup on when I'm so fair? Don't put makeup on because you're fair. You put makeup on as it's art. It's an expression of yourself, and I enjoy doing it, and that's the whole reason I do it. It doesn't really have to do anything with me being fair or being dark skinned or brown or whatever that is. But I do know that India has this a lot as well. It's still there, like it's still there, and we are talking about 2021, not 1956.
Their skin. Suppose you meet one right now and you say, "Oh, good morning," and you see that she's just tanned and brown. But after 3 months, you meet the same person, and with the usual society walk, and trying to be very dignified and cultured and everything. And you just notice that her face was lighter than before. And when you look at her hands and everything up to her arms, well, you'll be likable to exclaim, "Holy Moses," because there's a real very great difference, you see. She's about very light here,
Arms
but
and
you look
everything.
at the arms and everything, and the lower part of the body, but gee, it's just a very great difference. It's collared here, but it's very light.
They really bleach their skins?
They
do,
do.
Mrs. Waller. They
What
pay.
about Japan? Does that Japanese women don't want to change it anyway, do they?
Some Japanese women, right, how do you say?
Dye?
Dye their hair red. Yes. They like a red hair.
That's fine.
But I don't like it.
What about Indonesia?
Well, as the Western people try to get
Exactly. We try to get lighter.
Skin, we try to get light.
Protect
lighter
ourselves
skin
from
to
sun. Exactly. Yes.
prevent, the sun. I mean,
But you're such a nice colour now. I don't mind. I think
when we go out, then we use some long sleeve blouse to prevent from the sun, so we don't get a very dark color skin.
Tell me, what are your governments, if anything, doing about problems of prejudice? You've each mentioned some prejudice that exists in your country. What are your governments doing to try to eradicate it? You mentioned the prejudice against hybrids. You mentioned the prejudice against hybrids, too. You haven't told us much about the position of women. Otherwise, by the way, let me ask you right here, are women any freer in Japan now than they were before the war?
Well, before the war, there was no democracy. And women belonged to men.
Unfortunately,
and
this
men
still
controlled
prevails. That's why we are
women
fighting
and everything.
feminism.
And
How about
men
now?
had first opportunity to everything. Even getting out of the door, women had to open the door first.
Ridiculous.
And the men passed first. And in the buses or theaters,
Blah.
men take seat first. And if there's no seat, women have to stand up.
Oh, I'd love to live in Japan.
You wish.
But they do that in America and England now.
Yes,
Is it changing at all?
yes, quite changed. And
How
now
oppressed women
can
were, I
vote,
swear. And they still
women
are in a lot
equal
of
opportunity
different
in
ways.
everything.
And it's gonna change.
Judith, you were
We're
talking
fighting
about
for
your
it. So.
prejudice against Cockney accent a moment ago. Is that still very strong in England, this prejudice of the so-called aristocracy against the Cockney?
No, I don't think it's a very serious problem now, especially since the war. You know, this idea that the English speak either with a Cockney accent or else with a very aristocratic accent, that isn't true anymore. And we certainly don't despise people anymore if they speak with that. If you go into the House of Parliament now, you will often hear a North Country accent or a Welsh accent or even a Cockney accent. And we're proud of those kind of people because they are the people who got us through the last war, and nobody would dare say anything against them. In fact, it's the aristocratic accent which is the other side of the fence, and people laugh at that nowadays, I'm afraid. In fact, you may think that my accent is a little cultured, but I assure you, back in England, I have not quite a Cockney accent.
Not an
Still an
accent.
accent.
At least you mean to say your schoolmistress would not totally approve of you?
Oh, no, I should be corrected.
Judith,
Quite
I
a lot.
hate to think what's going to happen when you go back after 3 months. Yeah.
So do I.
You'll write me about that, won't you?
Yes,
I wanted to have time to ask you what you thought individuals could do in terms of eradicating prejudice. But our time's almost up. Anybody got a quick answer?
Well, I guess we should carefully examine the individual first before passing any judgment on him. And if we ever pass a judgment, we should be just with it.
That's a good note to end on.
It was
Thank
amazing.
you, Ratnati, Yoriko, Judith, and Raul. Next week, we're going to continue on the
I
subject
love
of
it.
prejudice with 4
Hey, I
delegates
never
from
knew I
Africa,
loved debates.
one white
I don't
and
want.
three
I don't like the ones
delegates
where.
from Union of South Africa, Gold Coast, Ethiopia, and Nigeria.
I never knew I liked debates. Maybe because like debates in India are like people fighting and shouting on each other. Like yeah. They're like all over each other's face. I don't like that. It's like it's annoying. So I never knew I liked debates before. But I love such talks. I have friends who I talk to like very deep talks. It doesn't matter what it's about. We always like to talk heart to heart. We like to talk about deep things, and I've like said this 1,000 times. And I love people who can talk like that because I love talking like this as well. So I really enjoyed this. But yeah, I agree to everything. Not much things have changed, to be frank. A lot on the things that they have said. It kind of still prevails. It's just not like out in the open, but it's still there even in 2021. Oh my god, and talking about women oppression, oh my god. You should see Indian women suffering from everything. Oh my god, it's still here, right here. But it's gonna change. We're all fighting for change, and maybe not right away, but our future generations will thank us for fighting for it, and things will change, and things will get better for each individual, hopefully. Yeah, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed. I loved it. I enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys. Love you.